energy. Okay, food. We nurture our bodies with food. Breaking big chunks of food down into small ones, small enough pieces that the body can absorb them, requires that we chew and churn, that should say churn, the food physically as well as squirt a bunch of chemicals onto it to help the digestive process. That's why we want to chew the stuff in the mouth. Because we chew the food apart, we make it smaller by chemically chewing it, but we also throw saliva on it, which has chemicals in it to break down sugar. And so you should chew your food 30 times. Yeah. And if you eat a savory sandwich, just chew it until it's sweet, and then you know you chewed enough. Because you feel the sugar release. That's the sweet. Physical chewing as well as very consistent. Blah, 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 blah. How does this compare with normal? What? Next time you eat the savory sandwich. Oh, I just gave you the answer. I just gave you the answer. So when you chew it a lot, it will get sweet. Then you know you chewed enough. Well, that's how I can bring an animal to life. You feel your amylase digesting carbohydrates in your mouth. Next time, try it out. Now they don't eat sandwiches. The kidneys filter your blood and make you pee. How does that keep us healthy? Removing toxins.
Eliminate the waste product from our bodies.
Yep. Eliminate waste products from the body. Some of that is toxins. Other of that is byproducts from protein and all kind of good stuff. So that's good. But we also regulate water because the more we pee, we can regulate the volume of water. Coffee and alcohol is not water. Because that makes you pee more. It actually dehydrates you. And we'll talk about that when we get to that. It also balances the pH. We'll talk about that in a moment. pH is weird stuff. But it's not that easy to understand pH, but it's really not that difficult either. But hey, in order to keep us alive, our body can certain. I skipped one. Look at that. The kidneys. What is the reproductive system's main purpose? To make babies. To what? Yeah, to make sure we don't die out. To make sure we can die everybody else out before we die out, which we will at some point. Just a matter of when. In order to keep us alive, our body needs certain overarching functions. For example, boundaries keeps us distinct from the environment. Does that make sense? The skin keeps you from yourself. Good friends make good neighbors. This way we can keep our inside in very specific parameters. Just think of the body temperature or how the skin doesn't let dirt come in. Since we need to eat, we need to move and manipulate the world around us, which is movement. Otherwise, we can't reach for that fruit. So that's one thing that we need to do. Food needs to be broken down, otherwise we can't get the energy from food. That's another thing we need to do, is to digest. So the body can absorb small chemicals and energy released then. And the way, what we call from food, from chemicals to energy, we call that metabolism. That's another thing the body needs to do to survive. What other 4 body functions are necessary to sustain life? That's not the honesty yet. Responsiveness. Elimination.
Increase in size.
Who?
Increase in size.
Yes, growth. Otherwise, you always stay this baby. Guess how small the babies will be after 3 generations? Then you've got one of these, the Russian doll things. Digestion, responsive irritability, metabolism, excretion, reproduction, and growth. If we don't have those, it's not good. Besides love and emotional nurturing, actually that's not a joke, that should be really real. Our bodies have a few fundamental things needed to survive. Our body temperature needs to be within a normal range. The atmospheric pressure around us also needs to be a certain way. And then what other 2 things do we need to survive?
Oxygen.
Yeah, but we don't need that from the outside. Nutrients and oxygen. Nutrients, oxygen, body temperature. Oh, pressure. Did you have that?
I have a question about that. So how do astronauts survive in space if there's no pressure?
Well, they got the suit.
Oh, what about the International Space Station?
Well, they got the space station. That keeps all that happy.
Okay.
I think that's the only reason.
Does it provide pressure? Like
The suit?
Yeah, or the station?
Yeah, it's providing what we try to have down here. It can't be gravity.
Okay, but it can do that.
But we try to recreate the environment that our body needs to be able to survive. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. When we talk about pressure, it's kind of weird, right? Pressure, the question of pressure. But when we think about in a low level, like the sea, we have higher pressure of like molecule, like you're looking at oxygen, right? Because that's the one we really need. The concentration of oxygen is higher down here than it is up in Colorado Springs. So I know we got to go straight up there. Because what happens is down here, we don't need as many red blood cells to get enough oxygen to our tissue cells. Then up in high altitude where there's fewer oxygen molecules floating around in the air. So what we do is we got to make more blood cells to carry those fewer, to pick up more of them, to extract more of the oxygen out of the environment. That's what we talk about, atmospheric pressure. So it's really not just the whole pressure, but like the partial pressure of different things in the environment. And for us, it's the oxygen, the most important part. And this emotional nurturing is actually very important, but not right now. It is crucial for our body's internal environment to be stable. That goes for body temperature, but also goes for blood calcium level, blood glucose level, oxygen level, acidity, that's the pH thing, and much more. When the body is stable, it is in what? Homeostasis. So we have mechanisms inside our body to keep us in that narrow range of many, many things. And we have many ways to measure that. The body measures that. And if it's out of control, well, in order to keep that stability, the body constantly balances things out. It gets warm, too warm, it cools it down, for example, with the sweat. It gets too cold, it starts shivering or moving, and it heats up. The body does the opposite to what got into that state. So when we have too much glucose in our bloodstream, the body needs to bring it back down. So it is the opposite. It's not like it's more making more. So we call that a negative feedback loop. That's not negative because it's bad. It's negative because it does the opposite. What does the body need in terms of components to utilize that feedback loop? You need a symptom. That's the stimulus. Actually, yeah, the symptom is not, it's a stimulus. Then we need what? We need somebody to pick up that stimulus. That's a receptor. And then we need a cable.
So is that like a nerve?
The receptor is a nerve ending. So for example, here it's a thermoreceptor for temperature. It picks up the temperature. It has to translate and bring that temperature to the central station somewhere. Most of the time that's the brain. And then the brain makes a decision. Oh, it's cold. Let's put on a sweater. And then the brain let's not go over the let's go over the shivering. Then the brain sends the signal out to the muscles to start shivering. And then the muscles do the shivering, and the stimulus is changed. It's not activated anymore. And so when we put that in a oops, that's the wrong one. In a control system, we got those steps. They have to break these down so we talk about it. It's usually more organic. But we have the stimulus, we have a receptor, there's an imbalance here. That's a very, this comes way back, fast back in many topics that we talk about, an imbalance at these steps. So the receptor picks it up. A pathway brings it to a control center. That's usually the brain. The control center is usually the brain. And then there, we send the information back out, the changed information, the result of what we integrated, and we go to effect 4, and that will change. Here, if it's a blood sugar, it's the kidneys, the insulin in the bloodstream gets the sugar out of the blood. If it's, depends on what it is. If it's the cold, we start shivering. If it's too much hot, we start sweating. But we do the opposite to bring it back into normal range and balance. It's about balance. All about balance. We call the pathway that brings information in, we call that an afferent pathway. Oh, look at that, I just thought of it. They don't even work. Hello. And then the pathway that brings the information back out, or the response back out, is the efferent pathway. So these words afferent and efferent become important, especially in neurology, they get very important. The way I remember that afferent is usually one that goes up, like an elevator, it's ascending, goes up into the brain. And efferent is like an exit sign, it goes into the exit away. I have to have these in the morning, otherwise I won't be off all. And so they work. I passed the class. It worked. I got my degree. Yay. The positive feedback loop. The positive feedback loop is one that lets the stimulus get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So if it's already 30 degrees, it's already, whatever, 80 degrees inside, and it becomes 90 and 100 and it goes on and on and on. Usually that's not good. That's not going to keep that body in homeostasis. That throws it way out of balance, even though it uses the word positive. Most of the time, those are processes of pathology, of disease. But there are a few normal ones in the body. What are they? Couple of them.
Uterine expansion.
Okay, great.
What was that?
Uterine contraction during childbirth. Well, you ladies know that. You can't stop that uterus from contracting. Well, sure. Until the baby comes out, and then it stops. So it's like the stimulus gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the positive. It will flip into a negative at some point. There's one more. That was, what else is that? Blood clot. That's the same thing. Your blood vessel has a hole, well, the blood keeps squirting out. You've got to patch it. You've got to patch it more and more and more and more and more until it's closed. Then you can stop patching. So that's another one where we have that positive feedback loop.